I can do the impossible. Only if you believe. Who specializes in doing big things. I can do the impossible. Anything that you need, just get your eyes off the things that you see. I can do the impossible.
Hello, I'm Robbie. On here, I'm Templar Knight. Everyone who calls himself a Christian and does not attend church has a story why. But whenever two or more gather in God's presence, then He is there. So this is church. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Tonight we are talking about miracles. We are starting our series on the impossible, on God's great power, on the things He has done, on the things He can do. And I'm excited for it. I am nervous. I am a little out of my comfort zone. But I'm encouraged. So I was trying to come up with what the first lesson should be about the impossible, about God's miracles. I asked myself, what is a miracle? So first thing I do, as always, I go to the dictionary. And by definition, a miracle is a surprising and welcome event that is not explicable by nature or scientific law, and therefore is considered to be a work of a divine agency. That's a lot of big dumb words, and I don't have a clue what that meant. That didn't help me at all. So what I came up with for what is a miracle is, a miracle is something good that happens that there's no reason for, no explanation. And that made the most sense to me. Something that I cannot explain. Something great happened, and I don't know how to explain it, but it did. So that's how I started looking at miracles. Something God does to impact our lives. When He makes a little play, we're going about living our lives, and all of a sudden, boom, something happens. And we didn't see it coming, we didn't expect it, and it just happened. And the first thing that caught my mind was a text that has been on my mind for months now, that I received from my father-in-law. It was when Geek and I, we traveled across the state to go see a concert. And when we arrived, it was my duty to text him and say, "Don't shake the desk." Sorry. It was my duty to text him and say, "Hey, we made it, we're here, we're good." And his response was, "Oh, thank God, have a good time. Hallelujah. Have fun." And I was so baffled by that, because all it was a drive across the state. 5 hours in a car. Not a very big thing. And it just stuck with me for a while. Why was this such a huge thing for him? Why was he thanking God that we had arrived? And I figured out the easiest way to explain it. Let me rephrase that. Marvel explained to me the easiest way that this makes sense. Because Marvel has done a thing with their movies lately that they're calling the multiverse, where there are multiple realities of all the same things, where different stuff happens, and there's an infinite amount of them. And I like the idea of that, because what if my father-in-law was so thankful we arrived because in a different reality there was a car accident and we didn't make it? But in this one, God got us there. He protected us in our car, and we got there, and we were kept safe. God did that in this reality. I'd never thought about it like that. I didn't think that something so simple and basic as taking a road trip could be something where God could do miracles. But what if we hadn't made it? What if you all tune in one week and there's no stream? And then someone finds out on Discord that there was a car accident and my wife and I didn't make it. That would have been devastating. To lose someone so unexpectedly. But we made it. God performed miracles and He kept us around. So it all became a matter of perspective for me and how I'm looking at things. I made it home from work this week. God, thank you for that. I have food in my fridge. God, thank you for that. I live in a country where I am free to believe what I want, and I'm free to come on the internet and preach of God's love. Lord, I'm thankful for that too. See, so often when I think of miracles, I'm stuck thinking of, what if I win the lottery? We all have that dream, especially recently with the way the lottery was. Everyone has that daydream of, what would I do if I won? Now, most of us, we think of all the people we could help. We think of all the people that would be impacted by this new money we got. Because most of us, we like to think we consider others important too. But we also think about what we would do for ourselves. If we had the money to make miracles happen, what would we do? I always used to play a game when I was younger. I would buy one lottery ticket. Every time the Powerball was coming up, I'd buy one ticket. And I'd always say, God, if you want me to have this money, I could do great things with it for you. I never won. But I always told myself that. I always wanted to give God that way in, you know. If for some reason He wanted to bless me with a lot of money and see what I could do with it, that would be His opportunity. But that was about me. Because deep down inside, winning the lottery would have been a miracle for me. It would have been a huge miracle. I could have done so much stuff. We think about miracles in terms of massive, life-changing events. But what about all the small things? What about all of the little things that happen right? Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's easy to notice all the little things that happen bad. It's a little harder to focus on all the things that are going right. When we look at life, it's, oh, well, this happened to me, so I'm mad about this, and I'm blaming God for that, and it's silly. When I look around at all the things in this world that I don't have, all the things I wish I had, all the things I think I deserve, I am missing all of the miracles that God put in my life already. All the things I do have. All the things that have happened to me. God's done some amazing stuff in my life. When I think about all the bad things that could have happened, God had some pretty crazy miracles to get me to where I'm at now. And I can't say they were just coincidences. I don't believe in that. I believe that God has a plan. He has a purpose for every one of us. And sometimes He has to get directly involved and say, hey, go over here. He lets these miracles happen to show us. Yeah, I'm here. I'm still watching. I'm paying attention. So it's all about perspective. When I'm stuck and I'm bummed out and I'm depressed about what bad things are happening in my life, because I'll admit, since I started this ministry, Satan don't play fair. Satan does not play fair. But if I sit there and I focus on all the negative things going on, then I'm missing out on all the amazing things that God is doing. And I learned a very simple trick that has worked for me lately. When Satan comes after me, I view his attack as something he is actually doing. That he's showing up and he is causing this. Instead of saying, hey God, why did you let this happen? Why are you allowing him to do this? Instead of being mad at God, instead of getting upset that he's allowing this, I'm calling in God like he's my big brother. And he's showing up and God's doing things. Because God has infinitely more power than Satan could ever try. So when the bad things happen, I'm blaming the devil for it. And I'm asking God to help me get past it, to help me get through it, to help me get over it. And the more I rely on God to protect me and keep me safe from the devil, funny thing, I'm not seeing the devil's attacks the same way anymore. Bad things are still happening. It's overwhelming sometimes. But I'm not scared of the devil. I'm not afraid of what he can do. Because I know that God's got my back. I know that he will get me through any of this. God saved my life. And so I gave it to him. And now it's my duty to make sure that I'm doing what I can to stay close to him. And despite everything the devil's been trying to do, God can do more. As the intro song says, God can do the impossible. If only you believe. And I believe. I believe that no matter what is going on, God can do the impossible. No matter how bad things get, God can do the impossible. That no matter how good things are going, God can do the impossible. And I get so excited about it. Because when I think of all of the alternate universes of the things that didn't happen and all the things that have happened, God is doing the impossible. Right here, right now in our lives, He's doing such amazing things. And we don't see it. Because we're not looking for it. Preparing for this message, I have been grateful this week because of all of these simple things that God did for me. He gave me an extra week to think about it. This was supposed to happen last week and it didn't. Because I needed more time to realize all of the miracles going on around me. I needed more time to see. And so God gave it to me. And I hope that I can help you see. That we can change our perspective on everything going on and see God's hand in our lives. One Sunday, I'm going to get through a lesson without crying. When I think about God's power, I get overwhelmed. When I am overwhelmed, I am emotional. I hope that as we go through this series, we will be able to take the time to adjust our perspective, to see what God can do, to see what God has done, to see what God is doing, and to pray for what He is going to do. Because if there's one thing I've learned, every time I try and take control, I screw it up. But when I give up, when I relinquish control, not only of these streams, but of my life, of my heart, when I give that up to God, when He takes over, He shows me that He can do the impossible.
God can do the impossible. Only if